Hey guys, come on in, come on in. I want to share a quick message with you all. I actually wrote it on my phone. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Krisha Sarabone, also known as the Giant Slayer, and I help you push past pain and passionately pursue purpose. I know you're probably, most of you, or some of you probably are not used to seeing my face because you may have been joining me for my morning scopes moments with God where we pray. But today I'm doing one of my teaching scopes and I'm in my car and I'm going to talk about what the mechanic taught me about purpose. What the mechanic taught me about purpose. So today I went to, hey Victoria, today I went to the mechanic to service my car. And thank you so much for inviting followers, those of you who are inviting. And as I sat there were a couple questions that he asked me. There were a couple questions that he asked me that while I was sitting in the room, I began to think of purpose. Now, let me tell you this. Your purpose is not something that you hang up on the shelf when you go out. It goes with you everywhere that you go, right? And I can't take off the lens of purpose. Everywhere that I go, it follows me. So I went to the mechanic today and I wrote my notes in my phone so you guys would see me looking at my phone. Imagine I was sitting after getting my vehicle serviced and I'm there writing notes of a revelation that I'm getting about purpose while this man is servicing my car. So he began to ask me questions about the vehicle, right? And most of you may know that as a female, sometimes we're a little bit skeptical about going into like industries where there's like a mechanic or it seems male dominated because there's this perception that women don't know anything about vehicles, which might be partly true because I don't know much about vehicles. I don't even know how to change my flat tire. But so I was prepping myself before I went to the mechanic. So I started to do some research and some reading, and I asked a couple friends based on what was going on with my vehicle what I needed to do. So when I came in, I told the guy, well, I'm here to do a checkup and this is what I want to do, right? And he said, okay, so what type of vehicle do you have? So I told him a Toyota Corolla. He asked me the model and he asked me certain things about my vehicle, which I was able to answer. Then he said, okay, so what type of oil do you want to use today? So I did my research. So of course I knew the type of oil. So I told him, well, I want to use Castrol 10W30, fully synthetic, right? So he was like, fully synthetic. I'm like, yes. But mind you guys, I don't know anything of what I was saying. This was based on my research, but I wanted to appear knowledgeable so that they would not think that, oh, she does not know what she's talking about or what she's here for, so we could overcharge her. So I did my research so that when I was asked the questions, I was able to answer them well. So I begin to think about how not knowing the purpose of a thing can lead to abuse. I was driving my vehicle and I told you I do not know anything about vehicles, right? More than I drive them and I take them to service. So I'm driving my vehicle and I'm smelling this burning scent that's coming through my AC vents. So I'm like, okay, so what do I do? So I check the bonnet and I see where my oil is low and it seems like a couple things may need changing, but I'm not really sure what it is. But because I did not fully understand my vehicle, did not fully understand all the components of my vehicle, I was just driving and driving and driving, and I was not really taking proper care of it. Hey, Nicole. And this is why it led me to abuse. Now, I love my vehicle. It gets me from point A to point B, and I'm very grateful for having it. But I was taking for granted the use of my vehicle and the simple parts that needed my attention. And as I begin to think about this, I begin to think about us and our lives and living purpose. How oftentimes we take for granted the simple parts of our lives that needs our attention to live in our purpose and to function fully. So he began to ask me other questions like, when was my last service? What did they do? What company I took it to? Gave him a service sheet of what they did. And guess what, guys? I had no idea what the last company did. I had no idea, hey Krista, what the service sheet said. I had no idea what was the correct type of oil, what was the correct type of filter, what was the correct parts. And this is my vehicle that I say that I love, yet I am abusing it because I don't fully understand the purpose of a thing. So I begin to think how many times that we abuse our lives, just like I've been doing my vehicle, because it's working, and because we go about our day-to-day lives, we take for granted the little things that needs our attention. So he began to say, what do you want to use? Do you want to use substitute parts, or do you want to use original parts? He says that the original parts are more expensive, but the substitute part is just as good as the original, and it gets the job done. So I begin to think, right, as he was talking, I'm seeing purpose all over this thing. And I'm saying, wow, how many times do we substitute our purpose, our design, the thing which God has created us to do, and we say we will take the substitute because the substitute works just as good and the original is more expensive. For you to live in purpose, it is going to cost you something. For you to live in purpose, it means that you must live the original design and intent of your life. And you can do the substitute thing, just like he was telling me. You can use a substitute filter and it works just as fine. It's going to cost you less. It looks exactly like the original. No one would be able to tell, but it's just a cheaper brand. And I begin to think, wow. How many times and how many of you are living as a cheaper brand of yourself because you are not fully living and walking in your purpose? You live as a substitute instead of living as the original that you were created to be. Now, these are all the lessons that I got from the mechanic today, guys. And I begin to sit there and write it down in my phone, right? How many of us are driving our life and not aware of what needs our attention to work best? Because our life seems to be working, we just continue to drive. And my car was working. It could get me from point A to point B. But guess what? If I did not stop to pay attention to the warning signs, I would have abused the thing that was meant to carry me to my next destination. Not knowing your purpose means that you are abusing yourself, and it means that you are abusing the very thing that has been designed to take you to the next destination. Not trying to pay the price and using the substitute and living in effectiveness instead of living in greatness. Thank you, Tasha. I'm not seeing any comments, so I don't know if you guys are getting this or does it make any sense. Not living in purpose means that I'm doing a substitute. And guess what? The substitute works fine. He told me that no one would know that it's a substitute. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to be easier on my pocket. But guess what? I don't want to live as a substitute. I said, well, let me take the original. He said, well, it's $30 difference. I'm like, okay, so give me the original part. But in our lives, how many times do we take the substitute, which is the easy way out? Because, Tasha, we don't want to pay the price. Because, Krista, the price is more expensive. Listen, the price of purpose is going to cost you. It's going to cost you some tears. It's going to cost you some heartache. It's going to cost you some tough lessons. It's going to cost you. It is going to cost. But do you rather live as the substitute and use the cheap knockoff and live in an element of effectiveness and not live in an element of greatness? You can have an effective life not living in your purpose. You can do everything great, right? You can live effective. You can enjoy your life. You can have a measure of happiness. And I could use a substitute in my car and it could continue to work. But guess what? The substitute is not going to give me the length of time as the original. The substitute is not going to give me optimum performance like the original. The substitute is not going to cause my vehicle. It will still work. It will be effective, but the performance may not be at the level of greatness. There's a reason why the manufacturer would have created the different parts of the vehicle with a special make and a special model. And I'm not going to say that I didn't take some of the substitutes, because of course I did, right? But these were the lessons that I began to learn as I was talking with the mechanic, and he began to ask me about this vehicle that I say that I love and that I care about, but I was ill-treating, right? I want to ask you, what are you doing with your vehicle called your life? Your vehicle called your life that you say that you love and that you care about. Yet you continue to drive your vehicle and not stop to look at the warning signs. Yet you continue to drive your vehicle and not stop to look at, oh, maybe this part needs changing. Maybe this needs adjusting. Maybe I need to tweak myself in this area. Maybe I need to develop in this area. And you continue to drive your vehicle, which is your life, just because it works. But it works, but it's not working at the best level that it can be. So this is just a few of the lessons that I learned from the mechanic today. And I hope that my sharing this has impacted your life, because as I begin to sit there, I begin to think, wow, there really is purpose in everything. And that statement that if you don't know your purpose, abuse is inevitable is so true. Because I took for granted the little elements in my vehicle. And guess what? Hey, Colleen, it is the little elements that could have caused this vehicle to break down. It is the little elements that could have costed me more in the long run. Because guess what? Trying to be cheap, it would have satisfied for the long term, but then trying to be cheap in the end was causing damage to the vehicle that I say that I love, that I say that I need, that I say that, I want to take care of. So I'm talking to you today. What are you doing with your life and your purpose? Are you living in effectiveness or are you living in greatness? Are you using substitute parts? Are you continuing to drive the vehicle of your life and not taking into consideration the parts that need to change? Are you continuing to drive your vehicle of your life and not thinking, hey, I need an oil check. I need to see where my oil level is, right? Are you driving your vehicle and not thinking, hey, I may need to change some bearings because I've been rolling these bearings for a long time and maybe I need to expand my mind and learn something new? Hey, maybe I need to tweak this and this would cause me to operate better. Let me tell you that after my vehicle was serviced today, Krista, I was driving this vehicle all the time and I thought that it was working fine. But girl, after the service, it's like the vehicle was brand new again. It's like it started to work so much better because guess what? It had new oil, new filters, it had some of the rubbers changed, and it was so much better than it was doing before. So don't live your life being effective, because we can be effective and we can operate just as fine. You can be effective and you can continue to live your life, or you can be great when you live in purpose, when you live a fulfilled life, when you love the life you live and live the life you love. I was tired of living in effectiveness, and this is why I tapped into purpose. I was tired of I'd rather be great too, Victoria. I was tired of just living up to the expectations of others and just running my vehicle, yet my internal wiring needed working on. I was tired of just doing the same thing over and over, and I needed an oil change. So guess what? I needed to do a checkup on my life and look at my inventory and see the things that needed to change and adjust some parts and change some parts out. And guess what? I had to go to God to give me the original parts, because guess what? We are so busy doing the substitute thing, doing what other people think is best for us, doing what we think is best for us. But are we doing what God says is best for us? Because we can do what we think is best and it could work because it's a substitute part. We can do what other people think is best and it will work because it's a substitute part. But it will be short-lived. Why? Because it's not the original. It's not the manufacturer's design. It's not the original intent and purpose. So I want to encourage somebody today on the other side of the scope who may be living in effectiveness to tap into greatness and to check your vehicle and check your levels, check your oil levels, check your air filter and see if you are living in purpose, because your place of purpose is the only place you will find internal fulfillment. Your place of purpose is the only place that you will be complete. And if you are someone today looking at this scope and you say to me, Krisha, Sarah, Island girl, girl with the accent, Moments with God lady we don't ever see, however you want to call me, if you're hearing me for the first time and you say something in this message has resonated with me, that I need to change some parts, right? Carlene is laughing. I need to change some parts. There are some parts in my life that I need to look at. I may need an oil change. I need to check up on my inventory. I may need to change some filters. And you say, you know what? I may need your help. Feel free. Yeah, the Moments with God lady. Feel free to email me, purposediary@gmail.com, or to visit my website, krishabowen.com, and go to Coach and see the areas. Because guess what? I couldn't do it for myself, so I had to go to the mechanic, right? And you can't do it for yourself, so maybe you may need a coach. And if you say something about this girl's message, something about her heart, something about what she shared today shows me that she can possibly be a mechanic for me to help me get to the next level, to help me move from effectiveness to greatness, please shoot me an email, purposediary@gmail.com. And tell me how this message has blessed your life. Tell me how you want to do the oil change, and you want to do a fuel level check, and you want to change your coolant, and you want to refuel your gas, and you want to do a windscreen change so that you can see the vision ahead. Tell me how this scope has impacted your life. And you need to take that vehicle to the mechanic. This is Krisha Sarah Bowen, also known as the Giant Slayer, and I have just shared with you all the lessons of purpose from the mechanic. I see purpose in everything, absolutely everything. I get a lesson, and I hope this lesson today has blessed you. Have an amazing evening, guys. Take care and check your vehicle. Bye-bye.